Now, before we get into it, I'm just going to go rapid speed to explain a few things.
The Finsightful YouTube channel provides educational content only. All information shared by Finsightful, Matthew Brown, Nathan Moss, or any guest reflects personal opinions and is not financial, investment, tax, or legal advice. Viewers should do their own research or consult a licensed professional before making any financial decisions.
Okay, rapid fire over. Let's get into it.
Hello YouTube and Finsightful members. What a day! BTC all-time highs broke through that record, and it looks like Bitcoin is consolidating above 100,000. We could be in for the next big push towards 125 or 150 K BTC. And the altcoin season looks like it is following along. Ethereum is looking pretty strong at the moment, and a lot more of the alts are actually starting to show a lot of good signs of recovery, particularly Solana and Sui. So a few things to talk about today. I'm going to keep it pretty short and sweet. Let's get straight into it. So one of the things that happened today, so this is inside our school community, and I posted about the legend of the Bitcoin pizza. So back in 2010, on this day 15 years ago, a young gentleman called Laszlo purchased 2 pizzas for 10,000 Bitcoin. That would be worth around about $1 billion today. And so yeah, just within our school community, we're all about sharing stories and history about where this industry, where this asset class came from. And yeah, I wrote a bit of an article in here. There's a whole lot of different people who are going to be having pizza parties tonight in honor of the first Bitcoin transaction for a real world asset. One of the other great things that I like to follow a lot is the K33 research. So these guys publish 2 to 3 times a week, and they have fantastic information in regards to the crypto industry. Some of the things here, one of the things that I've been talking about for a while on this channel and with our members is that institutional demand is going to change the behavior of the crypto asset class. And what I mean by that is we've been used to this 4-year cycle of boom and bust, or spring, summer, winter, where we have sort of 3 years of growth and 1 year of, let me turn off all my notifications. I should put that on my checklist so that I do not get all those things. Anyway, so back to it. This 4-year cycle that we had, Bitcoin, spring and summer, this 3-year pump, and then we went into a huge decline in the asset class, anywhere up to 80% declines. And then we go to this winter period, which typically goes for somewhere between 9 to 18 months. And then we come back into summer, we go back into spring, and then summer, and away we go again. Now, never before in the history of this asset class have we seen so much volume of institutional buyers coming into the market. And what I think this is going to create is a couple of things. The first thing that this is going to create is the asset class is going to have less volatility and more stability. And so what I mean by that is that when you think about TradFi markets, even as markets decline, 401ks, superannuation funds, pension providers have significant amounts of inflows of capital coming in on a weekly, monthly basis. And so that capital is allocated in the risk profile of those investors. And so you're seeing a lot more people have an allocation to Bitcoin, an allocation to Ethereum via these ETFs and sort of more TradFi style investments. And so what that means is if Bitcoin does start to sell off, well then as new inflows of money comes in, more money will pour into that to top it up back up to 5% of the portfolio size, because that's how sort of dollar cost averaging works. You want to buy when you're low price, and then they're not going to necessarily sell at the highs, but they're going to rebalance the portfolios by continuing to buy the undervalued assets or the underperforming assets. And that's how you get an overall balanced portfolio as part of portfolio construction. And so this is how traditional financial managers, financial planners set up portfolios. So we just have this automatic investment going on for our clients. And so I think that is going to bring a lot more stability into the asset class, but time will tell. But that K33 is a fantastic newspaper article that comes out a couple of times a week, and they really do have it's a really great sort of view on what's been going on, or what's going on in the future. And so Coinbase has launched into the S&P 500. And so this is a really big move for the crypto industry. This is one of the biggest publicly listed brokers in the market. And it's really been, a company which has been really, I guess, a stalwart for the crypto industry, because whether we're having good times or bad times in terms of market price, they have been delivering fantastic services to clients, to their customers, but also really working hard with the US legislature to ensure that regulation is coming through in an appropriate manner. So Coinbase, and so now that Coinbase has hit the S&P 500, love crypto or not, every single index hugging investment manager is going to now have to have an allocation into Coinbase. And so what typically happens as a company comes into Coinbase is they get a fairly significant pump in price, because there is a huge amount of buying that has to go on all of these ETFs, all of these managed funds, all of these family offices that need to now add this particular company into their portfolio so that they can mimic or be in line with the S&P 500. Not all things are roses in crypto. So I just wanted to go through here. We can all remember back sitting on the edge of our seats waiting for Bitcoin to have the Bitcoin ETF to be approved by the SEC, our friend Gary Gensler. And we were waiting patiently for this to occur. And a young man out of Alabama hacked into the SEC's Twitter account and actually said the day before that it was that Bitcoin had actually, the ETF had been approved, and you saw a huge spike in the Bitcoin price. Unfortunately, this young gentleman has been sentenced to jail for 14 months. This man's life will never be the same again for doing something so silly. And, crypto, Bitcoin, it's a bit of a, fringe network, a fringe asset class. People are sort of not necessarily, the middle of the class who are investing in these types of assets. We're the early adopters. But unfortunately for young Eric Council, he's going to be spending the next year and a half in jail, really having a good think about his actions. So just don't do stupid shit, guys. But let's have a look at what's been going on. We're still at all-time highs. Let's have a look here in terms of fear and greed. 73, we're right up there. This is not a time necessarily to be filling your bags with your spot holdings. Now is when you should be looking at the markets and really considering, like, how can I make as much alpha as possible from the from this crypto opportunity, so that I can generate additional income, I can generate additional capital, so that when this fear and greed index starts to peel back into either neutral or back into fear, you can start adding into those spot positions. Every time we hit this maximum or this extreme greed, we get a sell-off. And we are just underneath that particular spot at the moment. So I would suggest that probably the Bitcoin price needs to go up another, probably 10 to 15% before we hit extreme greed, if it does get there. Or what we could see from here is just a very regimented growth of this particular asset over time. I don't necessarily think that that's going to be true. I think you're going to see huge spikes or huge declines in the Bitcoin price. Which way it goes in the next sort of 4 to 6 weeks is anyone's guess. I'm tilting more towards probably on the 70% mark, is that we're going to continue to push higher because we've got so much pent up demand. And now again, the everyday person is going to be reading in the papers, talking about, oh, Bitcoin is now above $100,000. Oh, Bitcoin is, it's gone up 30%. So if we have a look here at the Bitcoin price, where everyone should have been buying, where we've got this nice channel here, this recovery, and the price is really stuck in there for this whole recovery. And so we're having a look down here on the 4 hour to get a bit more, a better view of this. And, down here is when everyone should have been behind, or we're now above here, above 100,000. When we had this consolidation period here is when people should have been looking at buying again. Or if we have a look at over here, no one wanted to buy in this particular zone. Let me just take this off. What am I looking for? I'm looking for this. So in this zone here, no one wanted to buy. Bitcoin was a scam again. It was never going to go higher. Ha ha ha. All you crypto bros have lost all your money. But we were literally just consolidating, ready for the next big push up. And what we see here on the charts is like investors should have been buying through here. If you are going to be looking at adding to your spot positions, these are the times that you want to be adding it, not up here. Because if you can see, we're up 30, oh, sorry, I've got my indicators all around the wrong way. So we're up 50%, 49% from those lows. So if you had been consolidating and if you literally just had some market orders sitting in here instead of saying, well, look, if the price of Bitcoin hits 75,000, 78,000, I'm just going to continue to buy. I'm just going to continue to buy all through this consolidation, and then away we go. The same thing that you need to look at in terms of if we break out of this channel and continue to consolidate for a longer period. If we continue to consolidate, so as we consolidated through here we've seen it consolidate to this lower trend and go up. But if you also have a look at this, we're actually staying in line with the long-term trend of the entire push. So if we have a look down here, we haven't actually broken the downtrend of, goodness me, I'm just all over the place today. We haven't broken the downtrend of this move here. So all the way back in, no, that's not right, from 24. So, okay, hang on a sec. We haven't broken this downtrend through here. If I can get if I can click the right button, would be good. This longer term, hang on a second, I need this longer here. That's what's not going right. I need to be on the daily. I need to be looking at my weekly. So when we look at the long-term uptrend of Bitcoin, we've got it here and we've got it there. And so this has been so from our lows in 2022, this has been the longer term uptrend looking on that weekly chart. And this is the shorter term, but every time we come down and bounce off this, we continue to head higher. So we consolidate, we bounce higher, we've consolidated down into this long-term uptrend and we've gone higher. So until we see really a break of this channel, we're going to continue to consolidate and go higher and consolidate and go higher. And within this longer term trend, you will see smaller, shorter term trends as we're looking at just here. So we go back to the daily. As we go back here, so longer term trend, shorter term uptrend that we have here. Will we come down here and retest this? I'm not sure. Potentially. We do have some fair value gaps here. We do have some fair value gaps through here that could definitely trend back down and fill into, and then before we have that next big push up. What else has been happening? Let's have a look at Solana. Solana's back at nearly 180,000. Still got a long way to go until it gets back to its all-time highs. So when you're thinking about alt season, and then when we're looking at these all-time highs here, the amount of volume that was being pushed through Solana was huge because of everything that was happening on Pump.Fund and all of the meme coins that were going through. Solana needs to recover from this, and it needs to start getting back to building its dApps, getting volume of transaction happening on that dApps, happening on the DeFi, so that we can see this protocol continue to set all-time highs, or basically then go and retest the all-time high and set new all-time highs. Well, that's it for me tonight. I hope you've all had a fantastic day. BTC, again, all-time highs, broken through that, consolidating above 100,000. Let's hope that it continues to consolidate it in the US market, which is going to be opening in the next sort of 4 hours or so. And then we'll see where we go. I'll be back tomorrow night to give you another update. Have a great day. Happy trading, successful trading, profitable trading. Hope that for all of you.